Hello. I just wanted to address this Tyson Fury Alexander Usyk situation because it's been going on for quite a long time now. I think, of course, everybody who isn't a Fury fanatic knows that Fury is the one to blame for all this BS that's going on right now. I mean, they had actually set the date for the fight for the 29th of April, but now suddenly there are talks of the fight not going through and being postponed or not happening at all, and so much nonsense going on. Well, anyway, but it turns out that according to Usyk's own promoter, Mr. Krasyuk, I believe his name is, um, Frank Warren and Tyson Fury have actually they tried to use this kind of stalling just to make the Usyk's Usyk and his people, who's his manager, accept this very unfair kind of 70-30 money split because actually Fury does not have is not entitled to such a large percentage of the earnings, the money, because he only holds one belt, while Usyk holds three belts. So one might argue, like, say Tyson Fury is the bigger draw. Well, it depends, really. It doesn't, not necessarily everywhere. He is a good showman and all that, but on the other side, the other hand, who has he fought now? I mean, last year he fought Dillian White, who was, already shop worn, one might say, didn't put up a fight at all. And also Derek Chisora, come on, the guy is ancient now, right? Hasn't had a good performance for a long time. So when you fight those guys and then you expect to still be considered, like top top dog in this division, which is so, right now rather stacked, with potential champions and exciting fighters, new names, and all that. So you cannot expect that. On the other hand, Usyk did something that Fury didn't do. He defeated Anthony Joshua and twice also. Even though Fury had actually signed to fight Joshua, that didn't go through because Wilder put an end to that, and that was a shame, of course, a true shame, because they had also gone back and forth so much for such a long time. But that was more, as far as I can understand, more Joshua and his team's fault than Fury's. Well, that's what I heard. Anyway. I don't know, but anyway, yes, Joshua. I mean, Fury. He is now just become. Uh, I mean, he loses credibility with every day that goes, with every kind of lame and stupid and out there remark he makes or statement he makes about him, you know, being entitled to more money than Usyk and how Usyk is not a true heavyweight and stuff like that. How he will easily beat him, knock him out. I mean, Fury has always had, let's face it, this kind of. And there were two sides, always, I felt, about him. There was this positive side, the fun, young showman, who, who taught us a lot about coming back from such adversity, overcoming such great adversity to come back and reclaim his place in this really tough sport. That was really impressive. However, he then rested on his laurels a bit too much. I felt after he accomplished that, he didn't continue, building himself up again. Because it's not enough just to defeat one guy that was a champion, and then say, oh, now I don't care. I can fight whoever I want because I prove myself. Well, it doesn't quite work that way, you see. Either you retire or you continue challenging all the best guys out there to to keep getting this, to keep getting credit, simply, to keep getting, being acknowledged as, the real deal. So, but he hasn't done that. I don't know why. Last year, there were a lot of better fighters he could have fought instead of those two that he did. Alright, Dillian White, you can argue was not such a bad choice, but it turned out to be, it was on paper, looked quite logical because he had come over the victory over Povetkin and he had been dodged for too long by Anthony Joshua after Joshua became champion. And Wilder also didn't fight him and blah blah blah. So he finally got his, big world title fight. That was fair, I thought. But he didn't perform well at all, fortunately for him. But then after that, he should have fought someone like, for instance, let's say Efe Ajagba. Efe Ajagba, Martin Bakoli, Philip Hergovich, Joseph Parker. I know he became his training buddy, so that was out of the question. But Joe Joyce would have made perfect sense and would have sold out so many tickets. That would have been a huge fight in UK, of course. So he didn't fight all those guys. He fought Derek Chisora, and Chisora hasn't won a relevant fight for ages, people. I think the last time he did that was in 2018 when he got lucky after being bashed, for 7 rounds. He pulled off like a really like a Hail Mary kind of knockout against Carlos Takam. So that was all. And even Takam is not, hardly a, you know, A level name, but still, he was a solid fighter. So and Usyk on the other hand, after he became a heavyweight, he did have to have a couple of tune-up fights, but immediately thereafter he challenged the man who was still actually recognized as number one by many because he held also most belts. That was Anthony Joshua. He wasn't favored to win that fight, of course. There were a lot of doubters, but he proved them all very wrong, and he won that fight so convincingly. It was amazing. I mean, then he also beat Joshua in the rematch, which was a little closer, but still he won without a doubt. So, and you know, by doing that, he proved that he really is should be counted as one of the best, if not the best heavyweights right now in the world. But did Fury give him his props? Did he give him respect? No, actually not. He did say, I mean, he did acknowledge, of course, because he had to, that he beat Joshua twice. But then he goes on, oh, Joshua was crap, Usyk is just a middleweight, blah, blah. That's rather ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't matter if the guy was always a heavyweight or not. If you beat one of the two or three best heavyweights in the world, come on, are you not then? Should you not be counted as one of the best three heavyweights also? That's logic, of course, logical. Yeah, no, Tyson Fury really needs to get his head out of his ass, I would say, because he has his ego has always been the problem. That's the other side I want to say, the negative side, the ego, the trash talking, I'm bigger and better than everybody else, and nobody can beat me. And I mean, let's face it, he pulled out of the Vladimir Klitschko rematch. He said that was because, of depression and stuff. All right, but he still did pull out of that fight. I mean, he could have gone on with it, but he didn't. And why? Why? Because he knew that Klitschko would come different. I mean, he would come and fight this time for real, not like the first time he was taken aback by the fact that Fury was so bigger than him, and that he was so aggressive, and that he probably didn't expect that, that much. And but and that he is actually so good. Let's give him the credit. He is very good, Fury, at landing the right punches, at the right time. So, and having the right strategy also. But I think he knew that the second time would be much harder. It would definitely not be as easy as the first fight with Klitschko, because Klitschko may have won 2 or 3 rounds stops there, and that was the last rounds, when he really started, coming on and firing up on those all cylinders. But for most of the fight, he kept just running around, retreating, defending himself, not doing much. And he was, let's not forget, he was close to 40 years old back then. He was still in top shape, Klitschko was, but I think the fact that Usyk and Klitschko are from the same country also may be a factor in why Fury has shown disdain towards Usyk. And, his rivalry goes way, I mean, with Klitschko, he was like, way before they had their fight, he was like, he felt such rivalry, he said himself. And the whole sauna story was so, I thought that was so childish. I mean, come on, you are there just to prove that you can stay in the heat longer than your rival, like, who is famous for being, able to stay, to endure the heat of the sauna for a long time. So, it's like something 16-year-olds do, like pissing contest. That's the classical pissing contest. So Fury never really grew up here, I think, inside the head, because he also grew up in such an environment where everything is about proving yourself, your toughness, your machismo, your manliness, manhood. So, and then in those environments, something else gets lost, and that's respect. Respect for your opponent, alright? I don't think he has ever really given respect to his opponents before the fight anyway. Only after the fight, and that's why, because he won all those fights. Had he lost, I believe that song would have been completely different. It would be, oh, they were lucky, they were caught in a bad time. But yeah, I mean, I think many people are now getting, all those who supported Fury because of what he went through before with the mental health issues, and the weight had to come down after being so grossly overweight. To lose so much weight is not easy, of course. It takes tremendous amount of discipline and motivation and focus. And well, everybody, even I didn't like him before. Let's be honest. But then I started liking him after that. And after the first Wilder fight, and then he beat Wilder up in the second fight, he destroyed Wilder. And I thought Wilder needed that because his ego was also huge. It was such a Oh man, I was so annoyed by his, strutting around, posing, bomb squad and all that BS. So yeah, Fury was pretty much maybe the only guy who could have really set him straight because Joshua I'm not so sure about. Maybe, but not completely sure there. But anyway, I'm glad that he did destroy Wilder and ruin his career pretty much. Because also he had built himself up by fighting really like mediocre fighters mostly, with the exception of Luis Ortiz, King Kong, of course, who also was already not a young man by the time they fought. But anyway, now we're talking about Fury. So Tyson Fury he's not a normal guy. I mean, I think most of us who follow him knew that already. Around the time when he was going through all this David Hay, pre-fight talk, and that fight never happened. Unfortunately, would have been very interesting fight because David Hay chickened out, of course. But I think Fury just needs to, grow up and get kind of let go of his massive ego and all that, and just be real and say, yes, now I'm fighting somebody who is equal to me, and we should split it all 50-50 and be done with it. Just because if you really want to prove you are the best, you have to do everything in order to get that fight made, right? So if you are not doing that, then everybody will think, and rightfully so, that you are doing everything just to avoid fighting that guy who right now many do consider at least, if not the best, then one of the two best, along with Fury. So yeah, I think, and also having Frank Warren, I mean, having chosen Frank Warren as his manager was a disastrous move. I feel it was, and that shows how much his ego. I mean, how crazy. I mean, it's devastating. Because why didn't he choose Eddie Hearn? Why do you think he didn't choose Eddie Hearn? Because he couldn't take being managed by a guy who is so big himself, so popular, so everything. And that's why I think that was the main reason. And also because Joshua is in his stable. So, but had he been managed by Hearn, then that fight would have happened long ago with Joshua. I believe it would have to happen, right? So, I know he chose this old fox who has been infamous as probably the closest thing that Britain ever had to Don King. So I mean, come on, Frank Warren. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Fury is just so hard, such a hard head, such a big head, so hard to deal with, so hard to reason with, and that's why his career will probably go down when it ends as one of the big, great, uh, what ifs. What if he fought that guy? What if he had fought that guy? Because nobody. I mean, if you only fought maybe half of the best fighters for your time, and you retire undefeated, then how good does that undefeated record look really? It doesn't look that good, right? Can never look as good as if you had fought like 90% of. I mean, let's face it, nobody fought all the best guys in their time. I mean, Lennox Lewis didn't fight all the best guys. Muhammad Ali probably didn't, but maybe he fought. He fought like everybody, come on. But everybody else, Larry Holmes, there are plenty fighters he could have fought that he didn't. and now he's still being considered by many like the best heavyweight after Ali. But that's a topic for another discussion. Well, anyway, just think that this is such a bad thing what Fury and his promoter are doing right now, and if it jeopardizes the fight, if it leads to this fight not being made, then it will go against their reputation, not Usyk and his managers, of course. So that only they have something to lose from that. So yeah, that would be all I had to say. Bye.